Okay, the first story today is Taylor Schabusiness. Taylor Schabusiness is back in the news, and let's bring them down here just for a quick little refresher course in case you don't know or remember who Taylor Schabusiness is. And if you if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, I find it hard to believe you don't know or remember who Taylor Schabusiness is. Something's wrong with the water up there in Wisconsin. People are killing each other up there. People are eating each other up there. Uh, and she did one, and I believe she probably maybe kind of, and wouldn't be surprised if she actually had a little taste or two. For those of you that don't know, Taylor Schabusiness, her and her boyfriend were into kind of some kinky stuff. They were doing a wild cocktail of drugs. They went over to his house, went into the, because clearly he was living with his parents. Of course, he was living with his parents. Went down into his room in the parents' basement. They decided they were going to get freaky. Turned into a little S&M thing. Chains were involved. Apparently, they were both into the sub-dom thing, taking on both roles. He made the mistake of choosing the sub role first. She took the dom role and started to choke him out with the chain. Apparently, she says she blacked out in the middle of doing it, but then she woke up and found her choking him out, and she, quote, she'd gone this far, so she just decided to continue. She just decided to continue to see what was happening. She eventually ended up killing him, strangling him, and then she went through about 6 knives to chop up the body parts and distribute pieces around the house and other places. For example, she left a foot and a bit of a leg in her roommate's car. Sure that was appreciated. And as she told the police, again, she talked to the police and told them everything, told them more than they knew. It was incredibly helpful during her interrogation. She said, basically, good luck trying to find all of the organs. I think most of them are in the house. But yeah, she said she wanted to do it. She wanted to see what it felt like. She asked the policeman, have you ever loved something enough that you wanted to kill it? Was not a good day for her. But before she got caught, she decided, oops, I've done this. I've chopped up the body. I really need to go somewhere. So what does she do? After she hides the body parts, she leaves his head and his junk in a bucket at the bottom of the stairs, covered with a beach towel. She goes away. The mother hears the door slam and goes down to see if her son left with a girlfriend. And the first thing she sees is this bucket at the bottom of the stairs, moves the towel, and sees her son's head in a bucket at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah, so the police go and arrest her, and they bring her into court. Her defense lawyer, his first deal was to say that she's not competent to stand trial. Asked for an evaluation on whether or not she's fit to stand trial. The judge says, okay, and appoints someone to evaluate her. The results come back. They said, yeah, she's fit to stand trial. The defense attorney again says, I would like a second opinion. The judge resists it and says, hey, you asked for it. I gave it to you. You just want, are you going to keep asking for these until you get the answer you want? I'm not going to waste the taxpayers' money and time on another evaluation. If you want to do an evaluation on your own dime, feel free to do it. I'll give you the time. So the judge gave them time. The defense went out and got their own evaluator to evaluate whether or not she was fit to stand trial. And surprisingly, because you can get an evaluator or an expert to pretty much say anything you want, this evaluator also found her fit to stand trial. So they had an arraignment. She pleads not guilty. They say, okay, let's set the trial for October 20th. Last month, as we got there, she changed her plea to an insanity plea. Not guilty by reason of insanity. I believe it was not guilty by reason of insanity. I don't think it was guilty but insane. We'll have to my mind has just gone blank real quick here. So, okay. Rose Alaska asks, why court just throw her in jail and throw away the keys? Because, as if you're following the Darrell Brooks trial, you may have heard that Wisconsin does not have the death penalty. If she's found guilty of this, she will spend the rest of her life in prison without the possibility of parole. She has literally nothing to lose by going to trial with this. If she doesn't go to trial and admits it, that's it. Game over. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You're straight off to jail for the rest of your life. If she goes and contests it, pleads not guilty, then there's a very, very remote chance something horrible will go wrong, and they will be thrown out, or there'll be a mistrial, or maybe there's such huge prosecutorial misconduct that it's dismissed with prejudice. It's a Hail Mary, but she has nothing to lose by doing it. So that she changed her verdict. And the trial was supposed to start October 20th. But because she changed her verdict, they decided to bump it back, and they scheduled another hearing for October 3rd. And that's kind of where we join this story, already in progress. Let's get here's the most recent update on the Taylor Schabusiness case. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Or should I say Wisconsin? I'm picking that up, aren't I? A doctor is asking for more time to complete an evaluation for a woman charged with a gruesome murder in Green Bay. On October 3rd, Taylor Schabusiness appeared in Brown County for a status hearing. A doctor's report on Schabusiness had not been completed, and the doctor asked for more time. The court gave approval and scheduled the next hearing on the matter for November 1st. In September, Schabusiness pleaded guilty by reason. Okay, she did plead guilty by reason of insanity. So, okay, we'll talk about that in a bit. I think it's in the next article. It's all coming back to me now. In September, Schabusiness pleaded guilty by reason of mental disease or defect in the killing of Shad Tyrion. I'll just call him Tyrion. Shad Tyrion Lannister. Schabusiness was scheduled to go to trial this month, but that was pushed back after she entered the insanity plea. A Brown County judge found Schabusiness competent to face trial after hearing from two forensic psychologists for the defense and prosecution who painted very different pictures of the defendant. Schabusiness has the right to argue she wasn't able to tell right from wrong at the time the crime was committed. We'll talk about that in just a second again. Schabusiness is accused of killing Tyrion in his mother's house last Friday after removing her electronic monitoring device she was ordered to wear after another crime. Yeah, she has previous records for assaulting a law enforcement officer or a member of the court. Schabusiness told investigators she and Tyrion were doing drugs, then had sex. She blacked out and began strangling him with a choker leash. Police found a grisly scene when they were called to the house on February 23rd, finding body parts in the home and Schabusiness's van. Schabusiness is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree SA. She's being held on a $2 million cash bond. So why is she being held on third-degree SA? You should ask. Well, it turns out that after she murdered him, she did things that should normally be pleasurable to a living person with his corpse. Yeah, whirled his corpse, then severed his member and played with his member and pleasured herself for 3 hours after severing it. So yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. All right, let's go to the next article. This was kind of the too long didn't read article. The next article kind of gives a little bit more, and then a little bit more to the story. Then we'll talk about it. Let's bring up the next story, because you can never get away with just one story. All right, a psychiatric exam to determine if there's supporting evidence. The title of this article: Green Bay murder dismemberment case put on hold. There's the lovely Taylor Schabusiness, not looking as good as she did earlier this year. A psychiatric exam to determine if there's supporting evidence of an insanity plea for a woman who allegedly killed, dismembered, and SA'd a man, in that order, isn't completed yet, so the case is on hold. Taylor Schabusiness, 24, is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree SA for allegedly attacking Shad Tyrion on February 23rd. At the last court appearance on September 1st, Taylor added a plea of not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. Ooh, okay, that makes more sense. Because what she has to do is they have to prove first. Okay, we get to it in this next paragraph. We'll let the news article explain what happens, and we'll just add to it. The psychiatric exam ordered then isn't done yet. So on Monday, Judge Thomas Walsh set another hearing for November 1st. No trial date has been set. It'll likely be well into next year before it actually goes to trial. If the case goes to trial, a jury would first be asked to determine if Schabusiness is guilty of the crimes charged. My opinion, not a difficult one to prove. Not a difficult one to prove. They found the body. They went to her house. When the police arrived at the house, her clothes were covered with blood. Her hands were covered with blood. The police asked, "Do you know why we're here?" She said, "It's probably for my arrest warrant, isn't it?" And then she proceeded to be very, very helpful and tell them exactly everything about what she did, how she did it, and why she did it. So I'm thinking that finding her guilty of actually committing the crimes is not going to be difficult at all. But then, if she's convicted, when she's convicted, the same jury would hear a second phase of the trial to determine if she should be held responsible for the crime based on her mental condition. Again, I don't think that's going to be entirely too difficult to prove. Again, you have to prove that she did not know what she was doing was wrong at the time she committed it. And the fact that she dismembered the body and hid body parts, as ineffectual as that hiding may have been, indicates that she knew what she was doing was wrong. So I don't think they're going to have any problem finding that she had knowledge that what she did was wrong at the time she did it. So, yeah. But what happens if they do find that she's culpable, she knew it, she would be sentenced to prison. Life imprisonment, no parole, end of story. If the jury determines that she suffers from a mental disease or a defect which rendered her unable to tell right from wrong, she would be committed to a secure mental health facility. So no matter what happens, if they find that she did it, she's going away somewhere forever. According to the criminal complaint, police were called to a residence of Stony Brook Lane early in the morning of 23 February. There, police found a severed head inside a bucket in the basement. Schabusiness said she was the victim. She and the victim were using drugs, including meth. It was a cocktail of marijuana, methamphetamines, and trazepam, I believe is what it was, and engaged in sexual play. When the man was strangled, she then sexually abused him, dismembered the body, and placed certain parts in various locations in the home and a vehicle. The criminal complaint states. Schabusiness made the comment at one point, she did get paranoid and lazy. Then she thought it was the dope that was making her paranoid. Oh, and also, well, this article forgets to mention that when they were asking her about the deal, she said, "Oh, I forgot the head. I just got lazy. Why did I forget the head?" She did not help herself at all with her initial investigation and interrogation by the police. Police say they took Schabusiness into custody later on February 23rd at an Eastman Avenue residence. Schabusiness removed an electronic monitoring bracelet hours before the murder, according to the sheriff's department. A warrant was issued for her arrest, but she was not located before allegedly killing Therian. She's being held on a $2 million cash bond. So that's the update on Taylor Schabusiness. The next hearing will be November 1st. So that gives us about, another 2.5 weeks. We don't have to hear about her. But we will be back after the next status hearing on November 1st to find out what happened and what is the next step in the Taylor Schabusiness murder case.